What if your government told you that beans were no longer a protein? hmm Yeah, that is the conversation that's going on right now. But we're going to talk about why beans still belong and why I disagree with those recommended proposed U.S. dietary guidelines. So tonight, I promise you that I'm going to share with you why beans do belong and also how they protect your health and easy ways to fold in beans to your diet. And it's really important because if you stick with me, I'm going to tell you how the change in your diet, how the change in how you build your plate is going to affect not only you, but our children, and along with your long term health. So, yeah, stick with me, and we're going to cover this today on the War on Wellness. Be right back. So, welcome back to the War on Wellness. I am your host, Penny McPherson, and today we're talking about beans. We're talking about the importance of beans. We're talking about why beans matter, and we're talking about the fact that there is a war on our wellness, and it starts with our food. And that's what we're talking about this evening. Why beans still belong in the protein family. So this is not about politics, even though the U.S. dietary guidelines do have a political flavor. It's about science and it's about experience and it's about our grandmother's wisdom and it's about a God-given gift of food. We're talking about beans. So just a little bit of background. Let me make sure that I have in all of my pages are showing up today on the live because this is a really important topic and I want to make sure that we are all here. Okay, very good. Awesome. So thank you for being here on my YouTube channel. Make sure you do subscribe to Plant-Based Penny. So here are the backgrounds on the guidelines. So the guidelines are updated every 5 years by Health and Human Services and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, also known as USDA. They do affect the labels that are on our food, and Plant-Based Penny always preaches, turn it over, read the back of the product, the label, the ingredients label, and not the front, which talks about the marketing of the product. So it affects the school lunches also and nutrition programs. So what the dietitians and others nutritionists are recommending to people. So in 2024, the advisory committee said that beans and lentils and peas are a primary protein. And all along, this has been the case. And the current leadership is rejecting that recommendation. And my stance is that I disagree and that beans should stay as a protein. So why do beans belong as a protein? Well, I'm glad you asked. 1 cup of lentils, for example, has about 18 grams of protein. And that same amount of chicken is about 3 ounces of chicken for that. So, and also let me back up here. If you are currently eating meat, I am not saying that you are going to go to hell. Okay. That is not my intention. We are all on this journey and with different paths, with different places on the paths that we're walking. So if you're trying to increase your health, you're trying to eliminate a chronic disease, or you just want to go plant-based, then I definitely applaud you and recommend that for you. However, if you eat meat, there are ways that you can still be healthy and improve your health. Okay? So, fiber is why beans belong as a protein. Fiber is going to stabilize our blood sugar. Many of us, especially those in the African American community, we especially suffer with this at a greater rate than others. Stabilizing blood sugar is so important for our long-term health. We keep all of our limbs. We can be able-bodied as we get older. Beans contains fiber that helps lower our cholesterol. Beans helps improve our digestion. Beans have nutrients. That's iron, magnesium, folate, phytonutrients. And just going back, so if you remove beans as a protein, as a recommendation for your diet, then the main thing that's left is going to be meat. So meat does not have fiber. So that is what we need to improve our digestion. And I get so many clients and people who talk to me about the fact that their digestion is not well. They have problems with their tummy when they eat. And the digestion starts here in the mouth when you chew, all the way to when your food exits back there. Okay, so your problem could be from here to there. That's your digestion. What helps improve that digestive process from the rooter to the tutor is going to be fiber. All right. So we're going to want to add fiber and definitely keep the beans. This is why beans matter. Also, the blue zones. So many of you know I left corporate America after 34 years and moved to Costa Rica and did a little traveling in some other continents and countries. And one of the things that I notice is the people who are in the blue zones and those who are ultra healthy and live a long time, and they're riding bikes and they're walking where they're going, and they have the mental acuity. One of the things they have in common in blue zones is that they eat a lot of beans. They eat a lot of beans. They have daily consumption of beans. And so beans are connected with longevity, and not just living longer, because you can live long and you can just like exist and all you can do is sit in one place and you can't move and your entire body is just sick. Yeah, you can live long just connected up to something or bedridden, but we're talking about living long and living healthy and able-bodied at the same time. So beans are connected to longevity. So removing this food item as a protein is going to be a risk to many people, and people are going to be following the recommended guidelines because people sometimes don't think for themselves, and we aren't our own best advocate. But Plant-Based Penny says, be your own best advocate. Read, research, study for yourself. Don't believe it just because it comes out as a recommendation. So we want to work against public confusion and leave beans as a protein. And we want to Now, one thing I will say is I agree with the USDA and Health and Human Services over the fact that they want to eliminate the ultra processed foods. They are making some good recommendations. Okay. One of those being eliminating the ultra processed foods. And in doing that, they are spot on. We want to eliminate the foods that are ultra processed along with the seed oils. We want to reduce and eliminate the seed oils. And the reason for that is that if you were to eat a bunch of sesame seeds, a handful of sesame seeds, yes, you're going to get oil from the seeds that you consume, whatever that oil may be. But if you use it, if you're putting it all over your food, you're going to get a greater amount of oils than your body would normally receive if you've eaten just the recommended amount, and that's a handful, whatever your serving size is for your body. So if you're a bigger guy, girl, then your palm size is going to be your serving size. If you're smaller, then your serving size is going to be smaller. It's going to be at the palm size of your hand. So some people need to eat a little bit more. If you look at their hands are a little bit bigger. So if you're eating the seeds, you're getting seed oils, correct. But if you are just pouring the seed oils on your food or using it to cook with, then you're getting quite a bit more, and that may lead to inflammation in your body. So yes, definitely decrease the processed snacks, the sugary drinks, and the refined oils, because it can lead to inflammation, which can lead to chronic disease, which we do not want to happen, because we want to live well and live abundantly as we were created to live. Because beans are God-given food. Okay, for the herbs and the foods from the ground, the fruits were given to us to sustain our life. And so it should be promoted and not minimalized. So how, you may ask, plant-based Penny, how can I add beans to my diet and make sure that I am adding it in, and give me some ideas and something that I can do so that I can use it in my diet? Okay, glad you asked. So we're talking about beans under fire and why they are still a power protein. So what can you do? So if you want to reduce your meat intake, remember meat doesn't have the fiber for your body. And any animal, people say that, we should eat the animals, get our protein. But there are no wings of hospitals being built because we are protein deficient. They're not. There are no walks. Walkathons or 10Ks or 5Ks for protein increase, because most of us are getting sufficient protein. And okay, I'm not going to digress. So swapping it in. So what do you do to get more beans into your diet? Because beans matter. Say, for instance, you're going to eat a taco and you're making this taco. So you would use half of the meat, for instance, that you're going to put in a taco, and then add in more beans on that taco. Or for your wrap, when you do that. When I reduced and started eliminating the meat from my diet, it was ground beef and then ground turkey and beef, and mix that together. And then I moved to fish, and then I moved to meat substitutes and no meat, using beans. And so, yeah, I do still eat meat substitutes, but I do love my beans as well. And some of you may be saying, well, beans don't love me. Yes, that is a factual statement for a lot of people. And remember, I said earlier that the digestive process starts in our mouth. So it starts right here. So a lot of times, because beans are a softer bean, or softer food, a lot of times we eat and we swallow, we eat and we swallow. Grandma used to say back in the day, we need to chew our food at least 30 or 40 times before we swallow. How many of you do that? Put chew in the comments if you know you need to chew your food a little bit longer before you swallow it. And so that's one of the things that's leading to the orchestra that plays, the orchestra that plays back there. And also, if you're using dry beans, make sure that you're soaking the beans first. Make sure that you're soaking the beans. Don't use the bean water that you soak the beans in. Rinse them off. Make sure that you soak them more than once in the soaking water. So there are things that you can do to help the beans be a little bit more agreeable. Okay. It is about to be soup and stew season outside. I'm looking out of both of my windows, and it's about, at least where I live in the United States, it's about to be fall. And that is when when the weather gets cooler, I love making my soups. And so whether that's lentil soup or vegetable soup, whatever, beans are a major staple of those recipes. And I love making chickpea curry with my potatoes as well. Oof. Yes, yes, yes. So I love that. So you can make soups, stews, make beans an important part of that. You can use your beans as snacks, roasted chickpeas or hummus with vegetables. That's another way that you can incorporate them. You can use, there's so many different recipes. And even when you make a salad or when you make your bowls that are made, when you had your grain bowls, yeah, that's what they are. When you make your grain bowls, you make beans a primary occupant of that bowl. When you have a salad, you can add beans as an ingredient on top of the salad. So here's your reminder. Americans are underrated when it comes to eating fiber. We undereat fiber, and beans are an affordable fix. There are people who go to the hospital doctor. I know this personally because I have friends, family, clients, people too, because they go to the doctor and they wonder what's wrong with them, and they have to have an enema in the doctor's office, or they have to give them some sort of medicine to help them eliminate, and that ends up being the solution to their problems. And if you don't have proper digestion, you're going to be in pain, and it could lead to chronic diseases as well. So I am all about spreading the news. When I used to be in banking, I taught wealth as health. Now I teach the fact that our health is our wealth. And it is so important. When I was in banking, I taught the fact that our wealth, our assets were our health. And our health is the greatest asset that we can have. And I love going and speaking to groups and organizations. And I have my next conference coming up is actually going to be a conference that you can attend. It's actually going to be in Portsmouth, Virginia. And right now I'm recording this in September 2025. And so October 9th, I'll be speaking in Portsmouth, Virginia for the Community Health Workers and Doulas Conference. And the theme is the power of we. The power of we. And my workshop is called The Power of We Begins with Me. So caregivers, frontline caregivers like doulas and community health workers, all of us need to know how we can better improve our health so that we can, they say, put on your oxygen mask first. You can't take care of anybody else unless you take care of yourself first. This is an opportunity to share evidence-based wellness strategies and equip people. And so I'll be posting more of that on my social media pages, my Facebook, my Instagram, Plant-Based Penny Life, and my personal pages, and on my YouTube channel. So make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And remember, beans still equal protein. It is still a vegetable. It is still a gift from God. So I encourage you this is your challenge this week, okay? Add at least 1 extra servings of beans this week, whether it's a chili, whether it's hummus, whether it's a lentil soup. Just a reminder that your health is your wealth. So be good stewards of God's foods. And remember that there is a war against your wellness. And that's why beans still belong in the protein family. Still belongs there. So important. Let me know if I can help you in any way. I'm Penny, also known as Plant-Based Penny. I help people move from problems to progress with plant-based solutions. I'm happy to help you look, live, and feel well.